All right. If you're a Nissan owner, that little light on your dashboard probably looks pretty familiar. And when it pops on with a P0455 code, it can be, well, a little confusing. But don't worry, you've come to the right place. We're going to break down exactly what that code means and walk you right through how to fix it, starting with the super simple stuff.
And there it is, the dreaded check engine light. It's that moment every driver knows and hates. Your heart kind of sinks and your mind just starts racing, right? Is this something serious? Is this going to cost me a fortune? Well, for the P0455 code, the answer is usually a big relieving no. So let's just start by taking a deep breath.
So what in the world is your car trying to tell you with this P0455 code? Well, it stands for a gross leak in the evaporative emission control system, or as everyone calls it, the EVAP system. Let's put that in plain English. Your car's computer has found a large leak in the system that's supposed to keep gas fumes contained. Now, here is the absolute most important thing to know right away. Do not panic. A P0455 code almost never, ever affects your car's performance or how it drives. The engine is going to run just fine. Here's the catch, though. You will absolutely 100% fail an emissions test until you get this leak fixed. Okay, so to find a leak, we first need to get a handle on what's actually leaking, the EVAP system. Think of it as your car's own personal fume catcher. Its entire job, the whole reason it exists, is to trap those nasty gasoline vapors from your fuel tank so they can be sent back to the engine and burned off instead of just escaping into the air.
Now, this system is really made up of just a few key players. We've got the gas cap, obviously, a whole network of hoses. There's a charcoal canister that acts like a sponge for the vapors. Then you've got two really important valves, the vent valve and the purge valve, and a pressure sensor that's basically the system's tattletale. Our leak is almost certainly coming from one of these components.
All right, let's start troubleshooting. Now, the golden rule of diagnostics, for pretty much anything, is to always start with the simplest and most common cause. And when we're talking about the P0455 code, there is one fix that works a huge amount of the time. You're not going to believe this, but the single most frequent reason for this gross leak code is the humble gas cap. Yep, it's the most common, it's the easiest to check, and it's by far the cheapest thing to fix. Before you even think about looking at anything else, you have to start right here. So what do? First, just go check it. Is it loose? I mean, we've all done it, forgotten to tighten it after a fill-up. So take it off, put it back on, and make sure you crank it until it clicks a few times. And hey, while it's off, take a close look at that rubber seal. Is it all cracked, worn out, or maybe even missing? If it looks bad, a new cap is a super cheap fix that could solve the whole problem instantly. Okay, so what if the gas cap is on tight and that seal looks perfectly fine? Well, then it's time for the next step, a simple visual inspection. We're just going to follow the path of those vapors and keep our eyes peeled for any obvious problems. You don't need any special tools for this, just your eyes and maybe a flashlight. Pop the hood and start tracing those rubber and plastic vacuum lines. Follow them back toward the fuel tank, which is usually somewhere near the rear axle. You're just looking for anything that screams wrong, a hose that's completely disconnected, one that's visibly cracked from age, or even one that's gotten too close to the exhaust and melted. During your inspection, you're going to run into the system's two gatekeepers, the purge valve and the vent valve. The purge valve, that's usually up in the engine bay, and its job is to open when the engine's running to let the fumes in. The vent valve, that's typically back by the gas tank, and its job is to close so the system can seal itself up for a pressure test. Now, if either of these guys gets stuck open, well, the computer sees that as a massive leak and it'll trigger that code. But what if the gas cap is fine and you've looked over every inch of hose and you can't see anything wrong? Well, the leak might be invisible, a tiny little crack that you just can't see with the naked eye. This is where the pros pull out a special tool to find these sneaky culprits. And this quote really gets to the heart of professional diagnostics. It's a simple idea. You can't fix what you can't find. So the entire goal is to take that invisible vapor leak and turn it into something you can physically see with your own two eyes. And this is exactly how they do it. It's a tool called an EVAP smoke machine, and it is the best friend you can have for this job. It gently pumps a completely harmless but very visible smoke into the EVAP system. Then, wherever that smoke starts puffing out, it doesn't matter if it's a tiny hairline crack in a hose, a bad seal on a valve, whatever, that is the exact source of your P0455 code.
So, once you've finally found the leak, whether it was that obvious loose cap or a hidden crack you found with a smoke machine, it's time to seal the deal and make that check engine light go away. And stay away.
The process from here is pretty straightforward. First, you replace the bad part, the cap, the hose, the valve, whatever it was. Second, you gotta grab a simple OBD2 scanner and clear the code from the car's memory. Then, you have to do a test drive. The evap system needs some specific conditions to run its self-test again. Like, the fuel tank usually needs to be between 1/4 and 3/4 full. This drive is what confirms that the leak is truly finally gone.
So, just think about what we did here. We started with the absolute simplest, most common fix, the gas cap. And then we logically worked our way down to the more complex stuff. That systematic funnel approach, that's exactly how professionals tackle problems every single day. And by understanding that, you've just taken a huge step from being confused by a check engine light to being empowered to solve it yourself.